Welcome back. I am Kelly, the Obsessive Traveler, where we discuss all things travel, especially cruise related. So let's jump right in today and discuss what to pack for a cruise. It's one of those things that I see come up often on Facebook and different social media outlets where people are preparing for their cruise, especially their first cruise. You just don't know exactly what to pack. So even if you're a seasoned cruiser, I may mention some things that you didn't realize would make your life easier. So let's just go for it. So the first thing is your travel documentation. Passport is definitely the way to go whenever you're cruising. And a lot of people do go with their birth certificates, but let's first discuss passports. So passports just make your life easier, but make sure you have them with you, not in your luggage, perhaps in your carry-on bag, which we'll discuss later, somewhere on your person, because you will need them as you make your way through the port terminal until you get onto the cruise ship. So make sure you have those in your possession at all times. Do not pack them in your luggage. If you do opt to cruise with your birth certificate, please note you must be on a closed loop cruise that leaves and returns to the same port within the United States in order to use your birth certificate as your travel documentation. If you travel with your birth certificate, again, make sure you have it in your hands when you arrive to the terminal. Do not pack it in your luggage. If you do not have your travel documentation on your person as you make your way through the terminal, you may not end up on the cruise ship. Your bags might, but you probably won't. So make sure you keep them with you. I cannot stress it enough. Every time I cruise, I see someone scrambling and realizing that they left them in their luggage and they're not able to get them back from the porters. So make sure you heed this warning. If you use your birth certificate to travel, you will also need your driver's license with you. Another thing that you will need is if you have changed your name. For instance, I have gotten married and changed my last name. So when I use my birth certificate and my driver's license as my identification to board a cruise ship, I also need to produce my marriage license. That just ties it all together and shows the name change from my birth name to my current name as shown on my driver's license. Again, I can't stress enough, make sure these things are with you. The thing that you need to consider in whether or not you need a passport or will use your birth certificate is this. Things happen when you're in port. You may miss the ship, whether your excursion is late getting back to ship, you lose track of time, and you're a pier runner that just didn't make it on time. Please don't end up in one of those videos. Or you have an injury or some emergency pops up while you're on an island. You will not be able to get back on the ship before it sails away. You don't have a passport. That means you can't simply hop on a plane and go to the next port of call to meet up with the ship or just fly home. You will need to go to the local consulate and apply for an emergency passport, which incurs quite a hefty cost and is not always instantaneous. Then you will have the added cost of your flight home. You will have missed your ship, and you will probably have a hotel stay overnight until you can get your documentation prepared so that you can fly home. While it is acceptable, and I have done it, it is a very risky way to cruise. So I would suggest go on ahead and get your passport. When traveling with your passport, keep in mind that most cruise lines require your passport to be valid a full 6 months after the return of your cruise. That's right. If your cruise returns on, say, June 1st, your passport will need to be valid for 6 months after June 1st, not from the time you embark, from the time you disembark back at your home port. So if you plan to cruise using your passport, double check the date of the expiration on your passport and your return date. If you're even a little bit concerned about whether or not it will be accepted, talk to your trusted travel professional, or just go ahead and renew your passport. It needs to be done. Just go ahead and do it. So what else to take? Again, I mentioned that carry-on bag. I always take a carry-on bag on embarkation day that doubles as my beach bag for when we are in port. So in that carry-on bag, I like to take things that I know I may need before I have my luggage. And really, top on the list for that is going to be my travel documentation. Do you notice how concerned I get about making sure that travel documentation is on my person at all times? So make sure you have that carry-on bag with you, and it's great for things like bathing suits if you want to hang out by the pool on embarkation day before you get your luggage. If you have an early dinner and you're concerned that your luggage may not be to you before you can change for dinner and you want to have a more dressed up feel for the main dining room or what have you, that those are good items to put into your carry-on bag. I always put a charger in my carry-on bag because embarkation day means lots of selfies, lots of sail away pictures, lots of cruise ship pictures. So make sure you have that charger so that you can charge up before you get your bag if you need to. We will go into, in a later video, more detail on the carry-on bag situation. There are so many things that are helpful on embarkation day that you will want to have in that bag. Another thing to always make sure you pack are your chargers. And cruise ships are notoriously terrible at electrical outlet space. There just aren't a lot of available outlets, especially on the older ships. I would like to see one on the nightstand on both nightstands on every cruise ship, and that just doesn't happen. So a couple of things that I like to do. So on most ships, you are able to bring outlet extenders. They have to be cruise approved without surge protectors. You can find a whole long list of these available for you on Amazon. The biggest takeaway here is make sure they are not surge protected and that they are not extension cords. Why wasn't that word coming to me? Royal Caribbean has recently updated their rules about all things charging, and you are no longer allowed to bring outlet extenders. That is a big deal because had I not read that little snippet before my last cruise, I would have had a huge problem because mine was a block that had 4 regular standard outlets that take these so that I could plug in my phone charger, which also has a watch charger on it. My husband can plug in his that was exactly the same, and then I could plug in my laptop charger as well. So that would not have been allowed on this most recent cruise. These, however, are Royal Caribbean approved at the time of this video. This plugs into a regular outlet and is simply a USB and a USB-C outlet. You plug your USB-C or USB end into this, and then you can charge on this one up to 4 items. So this worked perfectly for us. Another thing that I would suggest too is most cruise ships have both American US plugs and they have Euro plugs. If you are so inclined and you're worried about having enough outlet space, get yourself a Euro plug with an adapter so that you can plug things into that as well. Another thing that I like to make sure that I bring is stuff to get out the wrinkles, stuff to get out last minute spots, stains, dribbles. I'm a terribly messy eater. If I know that I need to re-wear an outfit, it is inevitable that I will dribble something on myself. So I like to take a Tide stick to get that out. And I also make sure that I bring Downy wrinkle release on every cruise because you just get the packing wrinkles and nobody wants to see that, and the Downy wrinkle release will get those out. Here's the thing to keep in mind. Downy wrinkle release comes in, at the time of this video, comes in travel size, and it comes in an aerosol, and it comes in a pump spray. Most cruise lines do not allow aerosol sprays unless they are for personal care items such as hairspray, dry shampoo, what have you. They will not allow you to bring aerosols for, say, air fresheners, Downy wrinkle release, and the like. So make sure you get that pump spray. Some cruise lines have small laundromats available. Not all do. So those are nice ways to be prepared. Another thing that I like to bring is a thermal cup. I like to be able to fill it with ice in the evening and water so that I have ice cold water all night and throughout the day. Some cruise lines with your drink package will provide you with a cup that you must use at the freestyle soda machines, but whenever I use those, I just use that cup, get my soda, pour it into my thermal cup. That way it stays nice and icy as long as I need it to. Those things, listen, Stanley cups, you got it going on. So another thing that I like to bring is a reef safe sunscreen. And whenever you're traveling the Caribbean, most islands have rules about sunscreen, and do not allow standard sunscreen. It must be reef safe for obvious reasons. Most mineral sunscreens fall into the reef safe category, but make sure whenever you're packing for your trip that you've double checked your sunscreen and have got reef safe sunscreen. Reef safe sunscreen will be labeled as such on each brand. Another thing to make sure you bring is Ziploc bags. I actually got this tip from another travel vlogger that I enjoy watching, and I was a little confused whenever she first mentioned the need for Ziploc bags. However, they make great sense. Do you want to know why? Because if you pack your travel documentation in your beach bag as your carry-on for your embarkation day, and you're sitting by the pool, do you want to risk your travel documentations, that wonderful passport, getting wet? Put your travel documentation inside a Ziploc bag to keep it nice and waterproof, and then it's all together, and when you do get to your room, you can just toss it in the in-room safe and you're good to go. Another thing is, a lot of people like to bring baked goods back from the various bakeries or from the buffet to snack on a little bit later, and this way they're not just sitting out going stale. They're nice and safe and secure inside a Ziploc bag and ready for you whenever those midnight snack attacks happen. First aid stuff. Let's talk about first aid stuff and your toiletries kit. Obviously, you're going to need your shampoo and your conditioner unless you like going with what is hanging in the shower. If you're in a suite and you have elevated shampoo and conditioner options available to you, great. However, most of us are not in a suite and most of us don't get the upgraded toiletries. So make sure you bring your shampoo, conditioner, those types of things with you. While they are available in your room, they're not always necessarily what it is you are looking for. But let's talk more first aid related. I always bring allergy medicine, cold medicine, anti-diarrheal. You may end up, look, you're going to be eating like you don't normally eat. Bring an anti-diarrheal, bring a stool softener, bring antacids, anti-heartburn medications. I know some people that get heartburn whenever they overeat, overdrink. You can find all of these things on a cruise ship generally. However, when you do, they may not be the brands that you're used to, the ones that you rely on, and they will always be at a much higher cost than what you would pay if you purchased them on Amazon or at your local drugstore. The Amazon carries many first aid kits that you can build yourself. You can buy them pre-packed. They sell the little individual blister packs of Advil, Tylenol, you name it. I keep all of those handy and on the ready because you never know. And colds happen on cruise ships. Be prepared. Tweezers. Most women carry tweezers regularly, especially if you're the menopausal age, such as myself. However, several years ago, we were on a cruise, and one of the people traveling with us, while she was wearing shoes, did end up with a splinter because she was wearing flip-flops in her foot, and we couldn't easily find tweezers on the island. But we definitely needed those tweezers, and so that we could have gotten the splinter out. We were able to finally find tweezers at a gift shop, but they were ridiculously expensive, so much so we probably should have had them framed and hung on the wall when we returned. And small travel size scissors are a godsend for everything from clipping a tag on something that you bought new for the cruise to opening up packages, the little blister packs that I can never get those little Advil blister packs open, so the scissors come in handy there. Just travel scissors, make sure you bring them. Band-aids, that should go without question. Band-aids and antibacterial spread or cream spread, like you're gonna butter yourself with antibacterial, because blisters happen. A lot of times when we go on a trip, we are wearing new shoes. You will probably end up with a blister, and you're going to be so glad to have those things with you. And of course, any cuts and scrapes. Water shoes. I know most of us don't wear water shoes on the regular. In fact, I never needed water shoes until I started cruising. Depending on what your excursion is, they're not always a must-have. I don't like just wearing them around the ship, but if you're going on an excursion, some excursions require you to wear water shoes, especially say you're going to Jamaica and you're going to be walking down the rocks and down to the waterfalls. You're definitely going to need water shoes in that instance. If you're cruising the Mediterranean where the beaches are a little bit rocky, water shoes are a great idea, because unless you're used to walking on rocks, you're probably going to want something to protect your feet. Cash. Bring cash with you. You're going to want a variety of small bills, maybe I always bring a variety of 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s. I set aside a certain amount of cash for tipping for my wait staff in the main dining room, for tipping my cabin steward, and for tipping bartenders. If we find we're frequenting one bar and we've really made a connection with a bartender, or we feel like a bartender has given us exemplary service, we like to give them a little cash tip. Cash is also helpful whenever you go into port. You might want just a little something from the straw market. A lot of places don't take cards, believe it or not. So a little bit of cash will go a long way in making sure that you can get that little trinket to take home. It's also nice to have cash to tip your taxi driver. Excursion tour guides also take tips if they've done a wonderful job. So it's just nice to make sure that you have a little bit of cash. A lot of people don't think about bringing cash because we all know that cruise ships are cashless. Everything gets charged to your room and cash is often forgotten. Please, please, please make sure you bring cash, at least enough cash to tip your room steward and your main dining room staff. Another thing that you always want to make sure you bring is a waterproof case. So a lot of times when you're on a cruise, you're going to go spend a day by the pool or a day at the beach, and you don't want to leave your phone and your room key, your credit card, your cash just sitting on the beach while you go into the water. And who wants to have somebody always sitting there? You want to all go enjoy together. So I know we've all seen them. They're on a lanyard. I should have brought mine out here to show you. They look like a little Ziploc. In fact, they look very similar to this, my luggage tag holder. And they've got a little zipper space where you can throw your phone in there. You can throw just a few little documents, your driver's license, your credit cards, a little bit of cash in there, and then you wear it around your neck and it remains waterproof and safe from being stolen. So those are a great thing to pack, and a thing that a lot of people overlook. Can you get them on the ship? Usually you can. Are they at a much higher price? They absolutely are. Check out Amazon for things like that. While I have it in my hand, this is one of my favorite cruise travel inventions. So I cruise most often with Royal Caribbean, and they email, as part of your travel documentation, several weeks before your cruise, your luggage tag, and you fold it up like origami, and they would typically have you to staple it, put it around your luggage handle and staple it. So it goes on like this, right? And most cruise lines have the same sort of setup. They might be shaped a little bit differently. They might look slightly different. Most are shaped differently. But what you do is then with these, you stick it in here. It's waterproof. It's safe. It's got this metal ring, and you tie it around your handle, and it is not going anywhere, my friends. I got these just because I thought they were nice and tidy, and I was tired of trying to find a stapler at home to staple my tags. I got these when we went on like our third or fourth Royal Caribbean cruise, and I use them all the time. In fact, when I book my clients to go on a Royal Caribbean cruise, I either let them borrow mine or I get them a set. They are so cheap and they are so valuable. Last year, my husband and my family went on a Norwegian cruise that I was not able to attend. And honestly, I didn't even think about this little jewel for the Norwegian tag until it came time to tag their luggage, and the Norwegian tags were a different shape and would not work with this. So my husband did the thing. He folded it, he stapled it just like he was supposed to, and on embarkation day, his luggage never arrived to the room. Got all the way through embarkation day, got through embarkation day dinner, and he still didn't have his luggage. When he made his way to guest services, after some time, they found his luggage. It had been put to the side or sent to the wrong floor because his luggage tag had come undone. They did not know where to take his luggage. Had he had one of these things, he never would have had that trouble. So invest. Really, next to nothing for these things. I will, if you want the link, I can put the link down below, but these are a great thing to have when you're cruising. And even if you bought them for 3 or 4 different cruise lines, it would be a great investment and you're not going to spend much money. Towel clips. Back to that day at the beach or the pool. Don't you hate it when your towel blows away while you're in the pool, or every time you sit down, your towel shoves down and you're trying to hold it up when you sit? Towel clips and towel bands are a great way to avoid that problem. I used to be the biggest fan of towel clips because they're so cute. You can get them as flamingos or beach sandals or surfboards or all of these different things. But my favorite thing has become the towel band. And what it is just that. It's a band and it looks like a really thick, maybe inch thick, wide, let me say, rubber band. And it goes around the top of your towel and beach chair and holds your towel in place. Why do I prefer these over clips? Well, clips do show my personality, but travel bands take up almost no space in my luggage and I like to pack light. So I am a travel band convert. Again, you can find these on Amazon and they slip right into your luggage, take up no space, and they're perfect for a day at the beach or the pool. Which brings us to my last thing, the beach bag. And we talked about the beach bag doubling as the embarkation day carry-on bag. The beach bag is a necessity. You don't necessarily need to take your beach towels with you on a cruise. In fact, I never do, and you shouldn't either. They take up so much valuable real estate in your luggage and they're just not needed. Most cruise lines will let you check out and return beach towels, whether you're hanging out by the pool for the day or getting off the ship and going to enjoy the beach. Just make sure you turn them back in or you will be charged for them. But with your beach bag, you can throw those in there as well as your reef safe sunscreen, as well as your towel bands or towel clips. Everything you need for your day at the beach can go right in that beach bag and keeps you from having to keep track of all of the stuff. Again, double it as your carry-on bag for your embarkation day so that you're not taking up too much valuable space with different bags. It really isn't that long before your room is ready and you can drop it off and get on with your day. So if you find what I have to offer as my favorite travel packing trips for a cruise, give me a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell so you get notified when a new video is available. And why don't you leave me a comment? Let me know what your must-have item is on a cruise. Is there something that I forgot? Is there something that you agreed with? And what else would you like to see me cover in the next videos? Thank you for joining.